I'm Randy Shaw of Shaw Hankins, and we handle your employee benefit package. And we're fortunate enough, and this year, we're going through the changes that are made for the 2014 open enrollment. If you don't mind, if you'll pull out your packet, you'll have an open enrollment guide. You'll have an overview of your health care plan. You should have in there an AFLAC packet and a Kaiser Permanente information packet. Okay? If you'll take out, first of all, the enrollment overview packet. I'm going to put these down for just 1 second. If you'll look at the back of this guide, at the very top, these are all the 800 numbers for all the carriers. We recommend, if you have a problem, to call Shaw Hankins. We have a call center. That call center is located in Cartersville, Georgia. You would call us at 2 o'clock in the morning, but don't call and say, "My name is Jenny." You know, you would call and say, "Hey," we get calls like this all the time. "Hello, my name is Jenny. I have insurance, please call me." We don't know who called us. What we want you to do is you tell us your full name, tell us that you work for the city of Douglasville, Georgia, and that for us to give you a call back, or how the best way to get back with you, and repeat your phone number, and tell us when is the best time to get in touch with you. Okay? We want to help you solve your problems. Okay? Now, all the rest of the 800 numbers are on there. If you're the type of person that likes to call and stay on hold for 40 minutes to get something solved, our staff knows how to use the back doors to get in, and we can get them solved a lot quicker for you. If you'll take out your information guide right here and turn to page 3. It'll look like this. Okay? This is, after this enrollment meeting, you can go online yourself. You'll go in the orange right there where it says www.cityofdouglasville.bswift.com. Your user ID, it'll come up like this, and you'll have your user ID and your password. If it's your initial open enrollment right now for this year, your ID will be your first letter of your first given name, your last name, and the last 4 digits of your Social Security. It will always stay that way. Your name could be Mary Elizabeth Smith, and you go by Beth, but we don't know that. You're going to be M. Smith, and the last 4 digits of your Social Security number. Your temporary ID, password, excuse me, is the last 4 letters of your Social Security number. Then you'll be prompted to pick a permanent password for you. We recommend very strongly, if you write it in this book, to kind of code it so somebody else can't get your personal information and go online. Protect your password. Okay? Now, if you'll turn back to page 2, at the top of the page right here in the middle, these are the changes that are being made for this year. These all take place January the 1st, 2014. First of all, this year, we're adding a spousal surcharge only for the medical insurance, not the dental, vision, anything else. That says, if your spouse is employed somewhere else and that company offers health care and your spouse chooses not to take that coverage and wants to come on the city of Douglasville's plan, that you will be charged $25 extra a pay period. Okay? Now, if your spouse is a homemaker, or is where they work, they don't offer insurance, or they don't work, then you're not charged a surcharge. Only if your spouse works somewhere and they're offered coverage there and they want to come on this plan would they be charged a surcharge. Okay, the next thing will be your medical insurance. And we'll go through that more in detail with the guide that I built, the overview. But basically what we've done is taken this year, we wanted to keep the payroll deductions exactly the same as they were last year. Whether you have the HMO plan or the multi-tier PPO plan. If you kept the same level of coverage, your payroll deductions stay exactly the same. Now, when you have a deductible right here, if you'll pull up this sheet, we'll take intermediate right here. This is something that just like a traffic light. Yellow is caution, green is go. For example, if very top, you have HMO. And then I put over here, when you call the doctor, PHCS. That's private health care systems. If you're on the multi-tiered plan, when you call a doctor's office, you want to ask them, do you take PHCS, not Kaiser, okay? If you're on the HMO, then they know that you have Kaiser. If you're on the multi-tier and you go to a Kaiser facility, they know that you have Kaiser. But if you call another doctor, you don't say, do you accept Kaiser, you say, do you accept PHCS? And this is national. If you have the PPO plan and you happen to be in San Diego, California, and you're not feeling well, all you've got to do is go to www.phcs.com, find the closest doctor to you, and if you're on the PPO, you'd have a copay at that doctor's office, okay? Now, what we've done with this overview, as you can see, the first part appears in green on the HMO, on the PPO. You have 2 family maximums. Why it's in green is that's a go. Currently, you have 3 deductibles for the family. You don't mind if we drop that to 2. Down here where it says in-hospital admission, if you're on the HMO plan, that used to be $500 per admission. That's been reduced to $250. So nobody minds if we go down from $500 to $250. Now we have some things in the yellow. The deductible in each level went up $500. And there's a reason that we did that. What we're saying there, that the people that use the plan the most will have to pay more than everybody else just going up on payroll deductions. For example, if you just go to the doctor, you'll have a copay. If you go to a specialist, you'll have a copay. If you go to urgent care, you'll only have a copay. If you go to the emergency room, you'll only have a copay. And your prescription drugs, you'll only have a copay. Now, if you go to outpatient testing, such as MRIs or CAT scans, then you would go towards your deductible. If you have outpatient surgery, or if you go into the hospital, your deductible would kick in, and then your coinsurance. On the HMO plan, you'd have a $500 deductible, 2 per family. We would pay 100% after that deductible. On the PPO, or the multi-tier, if you use a Kaiser facility, that deductible went from $500 to $1,000. It would only kick in after your doctor visits, which are all copays, your emergency room, your urgent care, and your prescription drugs. Then if you went outpatient for testing or outpatient surgery, or you went into the hospital, once again, your deductible would kick in. Only 2 per family, okay? On the multi-tier plan, if you go to a doctor and they recommend a specialist to get the best bang, you want to come back into the Kaiser system, because Kaiser's 3 core hospitals are Piedmont, Children's Healthcare, and Northside, okay? If you go back into them, you're going to be saving dollars out of your pocket, but you're going to be getting the professional care that you need for you and your family. But that plan allows you to go wherever you like. You get to make the choices. Now, as far as the pay period deductions, they stay the same as they were last year. Very few groups can we say that to. Okay? Right here, we're going to now turn over to page 7. If you look on page 7, this just says, and we're kind of a downsized plan, it says, you'll have your ID cards by January the 1st. But if you don't, use your current Kaiser card, and we want you to get your medication, we want you to go to the emergency room if that's necessary. We don't want you waiting. Your copays will catch up with you, or the deductible will catch up with you, but that would keep you from having to wait for your new card. But your new card will be here, but this is just a downside plan, and we like to have there just in case. The next thing is your dental plan. It's with Emeritus. That will be on page 8 of your guide. Under Emeritus, you can go to any dentist that you want to. The pay period deduction went up 50 cents per pay period for employee only, and $1.50 for employee and all dependents. If you go to if you go to a dentist, it'll pay 2 cleanings per year it'll pay 100% with no deductible of the usual customary and reasonable charges as long as you go 6 months apart. After that, if you have to come back for basic procedures or major procedures, you would have a $50 deductible per person, 3 per family. Okay, it would pay 80% for basic procedures, and that's like pulling teeth, filling teeth. Or it would pay 50% for major procedures, that's like crowns, bridges, etc. And all, until it paid $1,000 per covered person during the year. You also have lifetime orthodontia of $1,000 under your dental plan. Your vision plan on page 9 has not changed one bit. Payroll deductions did go up, very minor. They went up like 6 cents for an individual and I think 27 cents per pay period for family coverage. So they went up a very minor amount, and you can come on to the plan with no waiting periods on the vision plan. Let me go back, I didn't pick up one thing. If you want to add dependents to your dental, they would be late entrants, and they would only have cleanings and fluoride treatments for 1 year. And the nice thing, and we just got approved this past week, is on vision and dental will work like medical. You can now cover your children to age 26, whether they're married or not, under medical, vision, and dental. Okay, if you'll turn over to page 10, your life insurance. Everybody's covered for $25,000 of life insurance, a minimum amount, and $25,000 of accidental death. You also have voluntary. Now, these life insurance policies are issued through Lincoln Financial Group. When we go out, they all have waiver of premium, which says if you become disabled after 90 days, then the premiums will be waived and your insurance will stay in force. They all have accelerated death benefit riders. That says if your doctor says that you're terminally ill and you're going to die within 1 year, if they document it, you can get your death benefit in advance. They all are portable. If you leave the city of Douglasville, unfortunately, if the city of Douglasville leaves you, you can take your life insurance with you. Okay? On that. Short-term disability. This year, we've made a change. This past year, you've been covered, and the city of Douglasville paid in full. They paid the full premium, and after 14-day waiting period, if you were hurt or sick off the job, workers' comp covers you on the job, but from the time you clock out to the time you clock back in, to include weekends and holidays, etc., you would have a 14-day waiting period if you were disabled currently, and it would pay $150 a week. Okay? What we did is we took that money that the city was paying and we put it on the long-term disability. We cut the long-term disability from a 180-day waiting period to a 90-day waiting period. Your short-term disability will still be available, but it'll be on a voluntary basis. Under here, you'll see on short-term disability, if you choose to have it, let me make this point. You don't collect insurance. Insurance brokers like myself, we use the word short-term disability. You may already have it. For example, if you've got thousands of sick hours built up, that's just as good as short-term disability, because if you go out, you can have a check in your mailbox. So you don't want to duplicate coverages. You just want to make sure your family's covered. Under there, you will see pre-existing conditions under short-term. It says 3, 6, 12. That means that Lincoln Financial would look back 3 months from January the 1st, it goes back to October the 1st of 2013. If you had any condition for which you're even taking medication for, that condition would not be covered until you've gone treatment-free for 6 months or you've been covered for 12 months. Now let me add this. I'm going to pretend like that you make $600 a week. 60% of $600 would be $360 of benefit. Remember that you've already had $150 of coverage. That would not be subject to pre-existing condition. Only the $210 additional would be subject to pre-existing. Okay, because you've already got the $150 if you choose the short-term disability. Now the long-term disability. Last year was voluntary. I'm on page 12. Under it, we cut the waiting period or the elimination period from 180 days or 6 months down to 3 months. What the city of Douglasville did is they took that money that they were paying for the short term and they applied it to the long-term disability, which covers everybody up to 50% of their pay up to $24,000 or $1,000 of monthly benefit. Under it, you have the right to purchase up to 60% if you want to pay additional for that of your entire gross monthly check before they take it out. And that would pay you after 90 days to age 65, or what we call your SSNRA, that's your Social Security Normal Retirement Age. To you all that are born after 1959, whether you know it or not, your Social Security Normal Retirement Age today is age 67. I don't know what the future holds, but I believe because of Social Security, they're going to probably raise that to age 70, maybe 75 or even more. But your plan, if they did raise that Social Security age, that's why that funny language is in there, your coverage would last to 70, 75 or whatever Social Security said the normal retirement age would be. So they don't have to reword the contract. Now, for every one of you that took the voluntary long-term disability last year, you've already gone through your pre-existing period, January the 1st. You don't have to go through it. But the long-term disability, we've had it open back up this year to make it available. If you didn't get it last year, you have a chance to get it. You can buy 60% of your gross income. The city bought you $1,000. It has a 312 pre-existing condition. They would look back for 3 months. If you had a condition, you would not be covered for that condition. Let me stop, because long-term disability, to me, is a huge benefit. It protects your ability to earn an income. Under that, people can get by without short-term. You can go to the bank and tell them if you couldn't make your house payment because you were disabled. Right now, no banker wants your house. If you have long-term disability, the banker knows that in 3 months, you can go and tell them, I can't make my house payment, but I have this plan that will pay after 90 days. Could we take the 3 months and put it on the back of my payment? They'll do that in a heartbeat because they don't want your house back. Okay? But as my dad always said, a family can adjust something coming to the mailbox. It's impossible to adjust nothing coming to the mailbox. That's personal for you, but the city provides you with a $1,000 benefit. But you can buy 60% of your gross income if you choose to do so. Okay? Are there any questions? So go back now. Let's go back to page 2 and go back over the changes for this year. The spousal surcharge. Once again, that says if your spouse, and it only applies to medical, if your spouse has a job somewhere else and that company offers health care and your spouse chooses to come on your plan here, you will be charged $25 a pay period or $50 a month, spousal surcharge. Your medical plan, what we did there, we said we raised the co-pays a little bit, we raised the deductible, but we kept the payroll deduction down to exactly what it was for the year 2013. And under your dental, the plan stayed exactly the same with Americas. The pay period deduction went up very slightly. Under vision, the plan stays with IMED exactly the same. The pay periods went up 6 cents for employee only and 27 cents for family per pay period. And in between. Once again, your short-term disability will go to a voluntary basis. And understand that will be after 2 weeks, your doctor says you're disabled, you can buy up to 60% of your gross weekly income, and it would pay you for 11 weeks. The 2 weeks you didn't get paid, plus the 11 weeks that you did get paid, add up to 13 weeks times 7, that's 91 days. Your waiting period for long-term is 90 days. They were the same company, so they'll interlock and fold in together, so you have a continuous paycheck.
So it's not retro to day one of the absence, it's
That's correct.
14 days
And that's a
start.
great question, and the reason it's not retro, Jenny, and to answer your question, is usually speaking, you're in between a paycheck if something were to happen to you, so you have some money coming, that 2-week period. Then after 2 weeks, you would continue receiving benefits if you chose the short term. But I want to go back once again. Insurance brokers come up with these fancy words. There's a lot of ways to have disability income. If you have rental property, investment income, if your aunt left you money, you can decide to use that. What we see a lot of times is people collecting insurance. In no way will we let anything like that happen here. We don't duplicate policies and overlap. I believe, but that doesn't mean you have to believe. I think this and the city of Douglasville makes sure that you have these covered. I think to have a good, stable plan, there are 4 things that you must have. Major medical insurance, long-term disability income insurance, life insurance, and retirement. Now, we offer a lot of other things. Those are totally optional to you, and basically is how much comfortable will it make your life, and how much excess income do you have to come out of your paycheck. Okay? You have from now until November the 10th at midnight. That's Sunday, November the 10th at midnight, to go back online, once again on page 3. You go to bswift.com, City of Douglasville, bswift.com. On page 3, enter your user ID and your password. And when you go back and make a change, be sure to print your confirmation statement. When you go to the room next door here to enroll, we're going to email you your confirmation statement. But we want you to have it because they're time, date, stamped. And on November the 10th at midnight, the train pulls out of the station. Whatever you have then will be what you have for next year. You can't change it next year unless you have a qualifying event. A qualifying event is marriage, divorce, birth, death, adoption, or an involuntary loss of coverage. An involuntary loss of coverage is your spouse loses their job. Where your spouse works, goes out of business. Where your spouse works, they do away with health insurance. It's up to you, and this is important. You have 30 days from any of those events, birth, death, marriage, divorce, or adoption, or involuntary loss of coverage. You have 30 days from that event to come on the City of Douglasville's plan. You can bring your whole family on. Or you can terminate coverage during that period of time, if that's what you choose to do. But you will have to provide, and understand this, all of those documents, birth, death, marriage, divorce, or adoption, they all have sealed documents, and you'll have to provide a copy. If it's an involuntary loss of coverage where your spouse works, then you'll have to bring a letter of certification saying that they've lost their coverage, and you will have coverage here, and there'll be no pre-existing conditions for any condition under any health care plan beginning January 1st, 2014. Okay? Under preventive care, to help you, when you go see your doctor, you want to ask them, can you code this preventive? If they code it preventive, then you don't pay anything. There's no copay, there's no deductible, there's nothing. For you women, when you have your female checkups, mammograms, etc. Now, my wife would be a good example of that. My wife goes every year and has a mammogram. Well, she has fibroid cysts, so she has to go back. That second mammogram would not be preventive, it would be diagnostic, and that would go towards your deductible. Does everybody understand that? Does anybody
Yes.
have any questions? Now, at this time, I'm going to introduce Charles. He's with Aflac.
Well, Randy, one quick thing I'd like for you to kind of reiterate before we move on to Aflac. It's in regards to what you just talked about, the deductible and the copay. If you are, like you said, inpatient, well, and if you're inpatient, the copay would not be applicable, correct?
Correct.
That it would actually be returned to you, but I guess the doctor bill would then go towards, that's when your deductibles and co-insurance would kick in.
Right, and I think I'm word this, and if you don't, we'll go back. Let's go back over one thing on the medical insurance with copays. Remember, we went up $500 on the deductible on all tiers, whether you take the HMO or the multi-tier for Kaiser or the PPO through PACS. $500 deductible. Now that deductible only applies if you go see, let me put it this way. If you go see under any of those plans your primary care physician, you only have a copay. If you go see a specialist, you only have a copay. If you go to urgent care, you only have a copay. If you go to the emergency room, you only have a copay. Your prescription drugs, you only have a copay. If you go to the emergency room and they admit you to the hospital, your copay is waived. Then you would go to your deductible. The deductible only kicks in if you have outpatient testing, such as MRIs, CAT scans, lab works outside of the doctor's office where they need to do stuff, like outpatient surgery or
So you
inpatient hospital stays.
Okay, so you can't actually just go to the local hospital, even with your doctor's order, and get blood work done. The blood work should be done at the doctor's office
Yeah,
in
it'd
all
be done as a
cases.
copay. That's correct. That's a great question. Great question from them. Now, you have copays, like I said, the doctor's office, prescription drugs, urgent care, emergency room. That's where you have your copay. The deductible when something more serious is hitting you, whether they're doing testing, whether they're doing, you go into the hospital, or where you go into outpatient surgery. More serious stuff now is happening, so you would be paying a deductible. Let me say one thing about the deductible, because some of you is new under the HMO plan, but anyway, if it's an elective, if it's an emergency, it's an emergency. You get to where you need to go. And by the way, if it's an emergency, you're in network no matter where you are in the world under either plan, period. You get to the nearest emergency if it's life-threatening or if it's an accident. You're in network. Now, if it's elective with these deductibles, if I don't want you to do anything to harm your health, if you're moving towards the last of the year, August, September, keep in mind, if something, they're going to do knee surgery, they want to do it in the middle of September. But if you can, if you could put it off to October the 1st or after, and you use that deductible, it would carry over to the next year. So what I really am trying to say is, if you're going to do elective surgery, don't do it on September the 28th and use your deductible, because you would have a new one on January the 1st. Whereas if you waited to October the 1st and you had your deductible, then that part would roll over next year and you wouldn't have a deductible. Does that make sense? That's only on elective type stuff. I mean, it would work, but if it's an emergency, we want you to get to the nearest medical facility. Any other things? Anybody have any questions?
Just roughly in regards to the term life insurance, that we are able to purchase we're able to purchase some additional life insurance, correct?
That is correct. Let me go through, hold on, you don't put it on the film, let me just look. Under your life insurance, on page 10, the city of Douglasville provides you with a minimum of $25,000 of life insurance. That life insurance has accidental death. So if you die, we would pay your named beneficiaries $25,000. If you were killed, we would pay them $50,000, because you can't get killed unless it's an accident. Okay? That's another point. We want to make sure that you have your beneficiaries in order. This is that time of the year at open enrollment where you need to make sure the beneficiaries that you have are the ones that you want, but you can go online and change those anytime during the year that you want to, okay? We just want to make sure. That's the good checkup time is this time of the year. Now, we did offer voluntary life insurance. When you first came on board, you could buy up to 5 times your income on voluntary life insurance to a maximum of $500,000. The employee was guaranteed $200,000, but that was your initial enrollment, okay? If you didn't take advantage of that and you want to increase your life insurance now, okay, you can do so, but you're going to have to answer health questions, and no deductions will come out of your paycheck until you're approved. That's saying, Jenny, in your case, if you wanted to up your life insurance from $50,000 last year to $100,000 this year, you'd have to answer health questions. The underwriter would look at it. They would have a right to write to your doctor to get it. That may take, and it has taken up to 60 days. Well, now we're looking at January and February, and you get approved. Then your insurance would go into effect March the 1st. Your payroll deductions would not go back to January 1st. They would go when you were approved and move forward. Does that make sense to everybody? Mm-hmm. Does anybody have any questions there? Okay, one of the things is the broker for the city of Douglasville. You all have a lot of vendors that call. They call Fred and they call Rosita. Our job is they'll tell them to come see us. One of the things that you all asked for last year, and when we're making a change in the deductible, was can we find some things that will fill the gaps? We had a lot of vendors that we looked at for the city of Douglasville. We looked at Aflac, we looked at Unum, we looked at Allstate, we looked at Hartford, we looked at American Fidelity. We looked at a lot. The hungriest person for your business this year was Aflac. So we're putting them in. Now Aflac will come in, and I'll let Charles come up in just a minute. He'll take over. They're going to offer an accident policy and a critical illness with cancer. Those fill a gap. In no way do they duplicate anything that you currently have. And that's what it's for. You're going to see, unfortunately, in the future, deductibles rise. You're going to see gaps getting wider. That's where they come in, is to fill those gaps. Charles will go once again, but I do want you to know this. It's totally voluntary. You don't have to participate, or you can take everything. That's the same thing with everything that we're showing you. When you go back to the room over here with open enrollment, or if you're enrolling yourself at home or at work, you pick what's best for you and your family. You have the right to change it as many times as you want to between now and November the 10th of 2013. This time I'll bring Charles up from Aflac, and he'll go over the accident, critical illness, and thanks.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Charles Miller. I'm with Aflac. And first thing I want to do is ask you, have you ever heard of Aflac? Do you know anything about it, what we do?
I would say that you're supposed to give the cash to the family for their incidentals and things like that while they're waiting for other things to kick in.
That's correct.